I remember waking up one morning after having done all of my projects, sent in all of my essays, whatever, and waking up being like, okay, now what? And just like the panic setting in and being so aware that I had to make decisions about the rest of my life. The next thing I did, the way to get myself out of that space of feeling stuck and overwhelmed, was I just had to choose the next best thing.
Hi guys, welcome to Response Able with Professor Nikki James. I mean, louder is better.
I think so.
Because then we can yell. I feel like I have a fake loud voice. Because if I actually screamed right now, I would be super loud. How do I introduce Giselle Le'aupepe Bruce? Giselle Le'aupepe Bruce is a force of nature. I love that every time we happen to be able to spend time together, that she greets me with a massive hug and a massive smile, and then we sit and we talk and we talk and we talk about life, about where we're living, the things we're struggling with and we're grappling with, how to deal with the ADD that we both have, and how it plays out differently in both of our lives. So we cover a lot of ground, but I always leave feeling seen, feeling heard, and feeling loved. And I just love her so much for that. And I'm so grateful that she said yes when I asked to introduce her to all of you today, because I think that her story is a story that you will learn from, but also her story is just really powerful, and I feel like you'll be encouraged and inspired by it. And she lives life in a really beautiful way, and I'm so grateful that I get to share a little bit of that with you today. So let's jump into this conversation with Giselle Le'aupepe Bruce. So yeah, thanks. This is gonna be wild because we're gonna go like so off script, and it's gonna.
Oh my gosh, I'm ready.
There's literally like 4 questions.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so welcome.
Hi, Nikki James.
Everyone calls me Nikki James.
Everybody.
Everyone calls me
Everybody.
Nikki James. And it was literally you. I remember. I honestly remember being at the Meriton apartment, and I think you guys were all like jumping around near the fountain, near the like water feature, and then you
the fish tank.
Yes, and you were just like, Nikki James, like, we're just going to call you Nikki James from here on out because it sounds like a famous name.
But this is what happens when you have 2 first names. Like, my husband's name is David Bruce. I call him David Bruce.
Yes, it's so true.
So I think that's probably where it originated from. Nikki James.
Nikki James, woohoo. I get James a lot. So when I walk into business meetings, it's really funny because they expect a man. Because they're like, hi, James.
Oh my, James Nikki or something.
Yeah. That's
Weird.
Which is really funny. So a couple of times I've walked into business meetings and they're like, oh, hi, you are not the visual picture that we have.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And they're probably,
I bet they love that.
Yeah. Well, in some places they do. In some places I've gotten away with a lot.
This is how you're smashing the patriarchy, Nikki.
One human at a time.
One human at a time.
Yes. So that's a random story from our past. We've known each other for a long time.
25 years, maybe?
More than that. Well, it's definitely more than my life, and I'm pretty sure it's more than half my life, and I'm definitely sure it's more than half of yours.
Thank God.
I know, right? But do you remember how we met?
It's a little fuzzy, but I do remember it was summer camp, I believe, and I just went because my best friend at the time was going, and I was like, okay, cool. This sounds interesting and kind of weird. And then I remember being told that somebody was my leader, and I was like, I don't need a leader. I was 14.
And then it was me.
And then it was you. And it was funny because that particular experience, I just remember all of the new friends that we just made. We just all stuck up like one corner of like the tent. And like, it's not that we weren't participating, but I think that we were all just like a little bit like, But like, this is kind of interesting. Like, we just want to observe and participate from like a safe distance. And that was like my first encounter with you.
So my first encounter, so you didn't want a leader, or so you didn't need a leader. I didn't know I was going to be a leader until that morning, because I had not been a leader yet. I'd been a part of the youth ministry and mainly done operational things. And then I got a piece of paper that had 4 names on it.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what's this? And they're like, oh, this is your connect group for summer camp. And I was like, what now? And they're like, oh, these are the girls that you're going to be like leading during summer camp.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I didn't know that story.
So I was like, I don't know how to be a leader. What?
I've never done that before.
I've never done that before.
That is so wild.
And yeah, that was my initial. So I literally spent the whole time in the car on the way up.
It was like, how do I do this?
I don't know how to do this. I don't know what a leader is.
Oh my gosh.
I guess I just like care about them. I'll just love them because that's all I know how to do. Like, so, and then the rest was history.
The rest is history.
I obviously didn't do a bad job during camp.
You did not.
Then we kept meeting, and all the way through school. That was 3 years. Yeah. 3 years after that.
I mean, I think during that time, like high school is such an intense and formative time, and I think having really good friends outside of school, it was such an important part of being able to become the beginning of a fully fledged person. And I think having you, someone who's like a little older and a little wiser and with a driver's license, who could pick us up whenever we were like, Nikki, I need help. And you would be like, where are you?
I went here and don't have a way to get
home. Oh my gosh. The stories. But yeah, like it was an interesting time because we were all very deep in the throes of like these very existential questions of like, who am I? Right. What am I? What do I believe? What do I want to do? And it was lovely to have somebody like you who was kind of just like, okay, like I don't have all the answers, but I have like a few questions for you.
Yeah. I have a few questions for you. I knew a lot when you guys didn't like me because of my questions. And then I remember telling you one time, it's okay if you don't like me right now.
I know.
You like me again.
I know. And you were so, I'm like stunned looking back at that you were so comfortable with us. Like spraying you with vitriol, like the vitriol of a 15-year-old. Like you were so clear about your principles and what you believed to be right and true, and like how you want, like, and like that's leadership, right? Like somebody who has like vision and foresight and the understanding of how to like kind of guide people there even when they don't want to go.
Or the ability to fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Which is like 50% of the game.
I think I was doing another one of these podcasts. I think it was with Richard. He was like, yeah, it was always like you always was so calm, collected and confident. And I'm like, that was not my experience in this situation. He's like, you always had it all together. I was like, nope.
Oh, Nikki.
I was just kind of going with the flow and hoping no one realized that I had no idea what I was
doing. But like you were entrusted with I think that was one of the things that I always was in awe of, is that like you seem to always be tasked with these enormous projects. Like that, we didn't even understand the enormity of them. Like you were like in charge of a conference and then making sure that your girls were eating lunch. Or just like these insane things that you were always in the macro and in the micro at the same time, which was like so incredibly impressive. And that you never made us like feel bad about it or like we were inconveniencing you, even though you had these big things to attend to. You were always like very in with your friends and your relationships and very aware of what was going on, which is like also very incredible because you were what, like 23?
Yeah, when I first started, I was 19.
Oh my gosh.
I think I was 20 when
I think you were 20.
when you were like 60.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah,
That's
because I
crazy.
finished being involved in that, I think it was at 23 when I started at St. Vincent de Paul. And so it was all like, I think we were just so young. And my students ask me about like, I teach them about, one of the classes we do is on fear. How do you, like fear of failure. And they're like, how do you overcome the fear? And I was like, I think I just didn't have any idea. Like, honestly, didn't have any idea what fear was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, because I was trying to think, because I really, like, they asked me that question, and I was like, I want to give you a super wise and insightful answer. But I was like, I think I just didn't know to be afraid. Like,
Which is so interesting.
Well, like, oh, you want me to run a conference to 6,000 young people? I was like, that kind of seems really big, but okay. Like, I think I just genuinely didn't know that I should have been afraid. And
which is so interesting, because like fear is something that can be taught. Right?
Yeah.
But you just had no idea that was something that maybe you should be like afraid of. It's crazy. It's crazy to me.
I remember going, I think when I got the names, the instant reaction wasn't, oh, like fear. Like I didn't feel fear. I went, oh, like that's kind of big. And I think because I was a little bit like very much fake it till you make it, and probably a little bit insecure, I probably wasn't confident enough to say no.
Do you think you would have said no had you been more aware of the weight of that kind of a responsibility? Or do you reckon you would still have risen to the challenge?
I probably would have pushed back a lot more.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have not done it.
Yeah.
I probably would have not done some of the conference stuff, so some of the really big stuff that I did. But I don't think I would have said no to the human side of it.
Yeah.
The being a leader and all that sort of stuff. Because I was like, wow, this is a weighty, but I felt like it was possible. Whereas some of the stuff like doing the big conferences and things like that, I was like, oh, it's not just 20 girls' lives now. It's like 6,000 that I'm putting on something that's meant to impact these 6,000. And I was behind the scenes, of course, but creatively, it was like, oh, we're doing this to impact this amount of humans' lives.
Right. And you want it to land as well. And I think the pressure of wanting it to land and settle in a way that it like remunerates some sort of like something in people's hearts and minds.
Yeah. And then I definitely, again, you know, I think when you're younger, you don't know what you don't know. And I obviously, that was in a time like we had the fortune of growing up not with social media as well.
I'm so relieved.
Right. So I think we didn't have that basis for comparison. And I think that's sometimes where the fear comes from.
Yeah.
We think we should know more than we know.
Totally.
Or the fear is like we see other people being fearful and therefore we're like, oh, we should be fearful.
Totally. Like this is a right response to something that's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my response was really like, oh, this is big. Okay, it's big. Like, it's big. Let's go.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah. So.
It's amazing. And I wonder what it would take for that to be people's like automatic response to scary things.
I honestly think that overcoming fear is like, it's a muscle that you have to build up. Like
totally. It's a tolerance
If
thing.
your response, like I believe we have the ability to change the way we react and respond in situations, like in our behaviors and things like that. And I really think that if we experience fear and then we overcome the fear, and if we do it on a small scale, and then it slowly gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, like with the concept of response able.
Yeah.
Is everything's a muscle.
Right.
So it's like you can't be expected to, invest $1 million in an impact project if you haven't gotten to the point where you can.
Right.
Right. And that starts with the $5 and the
right. The micro decisions. Yeah. The micro investments.
Yeah. So I think if you haven't overcome a small challenge and showed your brain that the fear that you feel isn't realized on the other side.
Totally.
You're going to have less like ability to overcome the bigger.
Totally.
And I mean, so I feel like some people are better at overcoming just by jumping in.
Yeah.
Some people need a little bit more and a little bit more and a
Yeah.
little bit more and a little bit more. And I think I was just completely naive and had no idea of the weight of some of the crazy things that I look back on and go now, oh, that person could have died. Like,
Oh my gosh.
you know, like tribal wars, hello.
Oh yeah. Tribal challenge because
definitely
tribal. No, literally. I think about this whenever I think about the approach to decision making and fear. I think it was Jackie Chan talking about the stunts that he does in his movies. He's like, whenever it's the big stunts, I never get hurt. Whenever I have to like flip over a car or whatever, it's like I'm always done in one take. It's amazing. And then it's with the little stunts that I get hurt the most. So it's so funny that the stuff that you're working up incrementally towards, like that's where you can make the mistakes. That's like making mistakes and getting hurt in that phase of it means that like when you do these big things, like you have more of exactly what you're talking about, the muscle to be able to not get hurt when you're flipping over a car.
Do you have an example of like a thing that you've done in your life that you were fearful of, either big or small, and how you overcame that?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I have so many. I mean, for example, like I've moved countries quite a few times.
At one point, I didn't know which country I actually lived in. So yeah.
Me neither.
I can attest to that.
But for me, moving countries is less scary than going, for example, like in the United States when I was living there, like going to the Social Security office. So like it's, for me, I think that sometimes it's the small things that actually represent the commitment that you've made by doing the big thing. And so for me, it's easier to make a big commitment to something and then kind of like it's the small things that freak you out. Like, I don't know, like signing a lease. I mean, that's a pretty big thing, but like, I don't know, like checking your mail for the first time and being like, oh my gosh, I live here. Oh my gosh, my name is on letters that get sent to this address, which reflect that I've signed a lease, that I now live in the country. That's not the country that I lived in like last month or something.
Okay.
So yeah, for me, I find I'm really good with making big decisions. I think that I have a lot of clarity when it comes to like big picture things. And sometimes it's the small things that like sometimes I'm like, what am I going to do this weekend?
And that's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like, I have 2 days. I don't know, like how do I fill them? But it's like, oh yeah, well, obviously I'm going to like start this and this and this project in the next year, and it's going to require this much money and have to talk to this person. And it's like that's like so yeah, it's interesting for me, like the way that my brain works is like, I think this is where you and I are very similar. It's like we think big picture about a lot of things a lot of the time, and it's the small, like that's the stuff that life is made up of that can be a little bit more like I don't know, mentally taxing. On us. Like I have to go to the dentist, you know, like like I have to go to the dentist,
and then you have to book, and then you have to decide on a day.
No, and I have to decide on a dentist. How do I know? Like I don't know how to decide on a dentist. I had the same dentist here since I was like 12. Like,
oh yeah, the first time I went to a doctor in the US, I was sick and I needed to go to emergency care. I'm like, how does it work here? What do I do? Where do I go? I'm like, I haven't had to do this before in a different country. Is it the same? Is it different?
It's so bewildering. It's like, why does
you're like, well, let's move countries.
I know. And then you realize that all of the systems are different. The banking's different. The tax is different. And it's like, I mean, but the decision to move countries was easy.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That's so funny. And I think maybe it is that some people, I feel like those big decisions like are fairly easy for me because they're instinctual decisions.
Totally.
I just feel a sense of peace about them.
Yes.
But then when you live out the decision and live in the decision you've made, you're like, oh, what do I do?
Absolutely.
In retrospect, it's too late now.
Absolutely. I think, well, so when I married my husband, like that story is kind of crazy because we started dating, got engaged within 2 months, and then got married within 5 months. We'd known each other for a couple of years. Yeah. But like, we were just very clear the whole time we were dating. And then when we got engaged and then when we got married, like everything was just very clear. Like this was happening because we decided for it to happen. And then I remember the day after our wedding, we were driving down Highway 1 in California. And I was like, what did I do? Like, hello? Like, what did I do? It's like I just woke up after 7 months of like, I'm married to this person and we've been married for almost 10 years, which is amazing. And he's fantastic. But like, yeah, I think sometimes I haven't always like really considered the ramifications of my decisions. But I'm never upset about them. And honestly, like going by instinct, and I think we were talking about this earlier, just that at any time you have all of the information that you need inside of yourself in order to make a big decision, and that you can feel empowered to do that.
Right.
And you can feel confident in your ability to know yourself and to also like deal with the consequences of your decisions.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I guess one of the things, like I have the moments as well where I'm like, I've just made a big decision, like you said, and just like, oh crap, what the heck did I do?
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I don't do that maybe is part of the reason where the fear comes in for like younger people and especially like students that I teach is maybe I kind of almost, when I make the big decision, I'm letting go of the other option.
Totally.
Right? It's like,
totally.
I'm not going, there was 3 different decisions. Like, I don't think I procrastinate the big decisions or do an options analysis or something like that, so that I have, when I make a big decision, I make a big decision. Like when I was found out, well, I didn't make this decision. It was kind of made for me, but I didn't even think about not having you guys as a connection.
Yeah.
Not being a leader wasn't an option.
Right.
So whenever things were going wrong, there was never the consideration of, what would the other pathway have looked like?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like now, today, when we make decisions, there is this holding on to
this
all
like
the other
decision,
pathways.
this paralysis, choice paralysis.
Yeah, because there's all these choices.
Yeah.
You kind of go, if I make this decision, I'm going to miss out on X, Y, and Z and whatever. And it kind of doesn't get you. And then when you make a decision and then something negative happens, you're not just living with that decision, you're living with the remorse of, if I'd gone that way, that would have been a better choice.
Totally.
Whereas I've never, when something bad has happened, I've never compared it to another possible pathway.
Totally.
And maybe that's just my very high future focus rather than past focus. But yeah, like I think maybe that ability to let go of choose and then really let go of the other options instead of living with regret of the other options.
Absolutely. And just with this sense of, I mean, this is going to sound a little bit trite, but like whatever is meant for you is never going to pass you by. And that goes for things that are really wonderful and also things that are really hard. And yeah, I mean, I just remember when my dad was dying about 8 years ago, my husband and I had a couple of decisions that we had to make because we were living in New York at the time and my parents were here in Australia. And I was coming up on a green card renewal. And so we had to kind of figure out how we were going to do it. And so we took a day to just like think and pray and really like sit with our options. We weren't processing. We weren't doing any of the active work. We were just sitting with what felt like we needed to do. And then at the end of the day, we had decided that we were going to move to Australia for 8 months, going to get my green card processed offshore. And then we were going to come back to New York. And it actually ended up being the most difficult time, but the most important time. Because during that period, my dad passed away. And we were able to be in Australia for 9 months after that and just be with my family and reconnect and kind of put some of these pieces back together a little bit. And so, like, even though it was hard, that time was so formative and so important. And so, like, you never know what's on the other side of choosing and choosing not to choose other options, but like being really steadfast about what you have received via your intuition or like some sense of like guidance, you know,
cool.
as to what's real.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love that. All right. So now we're talking about history right now. So I'm going to jump into
history.
this, and then I'm going to
No, stop it.
then I'm going to get you to tell me your story in a little bit more detail.
Okay.
So that people know who you are. So I'm going to share a couple of like photos with you to jog your memory of some funny memories.
Nikki, these are so funny. Okay, so there are 4 photos here. Okay, so let's go all the way back. One of them is Nikki and I and our friend Hannah at a conference. I was just like annoyed that I was there. There are so many things. Like it was fine. Like I was
there for the people.
I was there for the people, yes. And so I remember running into Nikki and our friend Hannah, who was part of this group of girls that Nikki was told that she was leading.
True.
But this was maybe, I think, 2nd or 3rd year of university. So it was about 6 years after Nikki had taken on the challenge.
We're still friends.
And we're still friends. And I'm like very smiley in this. I think we're all just very happy to be together. And I think this was after I had let off some steam about the nature of the conference. Okay. The second one of the next picture is probably the most recent picture that was taken of us in New York with our beautiful friend Rochelle, and we were all there. I wasn't living there at the time. Actually, none of us were living there at the time. David and I were back for a wedding. Rochelle was there doing some tattoo, and Nikki was... Why were you in the city?
I found out you were both there.
Oh, yeah. And then you came. You
Boston.
came. Yes.
I was like, if you're both free tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh. That was so... And this is a restaurant that is one of my favorite restaurants in New York, Saint Jordan. It's like this amazing all-day space.
Yeah.
And you can eat breakfast, you can eat dinner, you can have a glass of wine, you can have a cup of coffee, and it was just you can people watch. We were there in Halloween once, and it was amazing. It was so good. This next photo was it was at a wedding we were at. One of my best friends from high school, Scott, and one of my other very good friends, Kat, they were getting married and Nikki was there. And it was so lovely because I think you were on their board of their theatre company, helping them get some funding and some like legal stuff. And I don't think I'd seen you in a long time. It was just like very lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this last photo, oh my gosh, we're wearing masks and it's on the street. I think this is probably after that one Halloween that we sat and people watched in New York. And like I think we were there for like 5 hours.
Yeah, we were there for a long time.
It was great. It was great.
And I saw your project for the first time. Past the cafe.
We did go past the cafe.
And sat and people watched all the Halloween folks.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
I guess my next question, something that we probably should have done right at the start, but then we got well distracted. It'd be really great if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit of your story and what you've done. And
oh my goodness.
What you're passionate about, all those fun things.
I don't even know where to start. Well, hello, internet. Hello, world. My name is Giselle Le'aupepe Bruce. Currently, I am situated in my house in Glebe. My husband and I moved back to Australia after not being he's American. I'm Australian. I was born and raised here. We moved back to Australia in March of 2025 after being away for 15 years. I finished university and I was like, 15 years. I finished university and I was like, bye.
That's true. You did do that.
I did. I like Irish exited Sydney.
And I remember getting you a hotel room in China when you realized that the flight you had booked had a 24-hour delay in Shanghai.
I was like, the only person I know is Ricky James, who has any relation to China. It was so funny.
I just got you a hotel.
I know.
I got you a hotel room in the hotel that I'd stayed in when I was there because I knew it and I knew it existed. It made your mum feel better.
Oh, it did make Fran feel better. How funny. Yeah, so at this point, I've had a lot of different lives. Currently, I'm working in hospitality marketing here in Sydney. I work with a lot of amazing people in the hospitality industry and help them with their social media marketing and profiles and all of that fun stuff. And it's absolutely not what I was doing last year or the year before that I have had a varied career doing everything from project management and program directing in New York City and Israel for a not-for-profit to being a pottery teacher in California, in the Bay Area, and something that is an absolute mainstay for me. It's so funny. I came up with this concept for myself, like kind of like a raison d'être, as the French say, like a reason for being. And as long as I'm creating, relating, and communicating, that is my like central tenet for whatever I'm doing in life. And so that has been my North Star as to kind of how I make decisions about employment, decisions about location. And yeah, I'm extremely passionate about hospitality as well in all of its forms. I've set up a bunch of venues. I've run programs. I've like created events. And right now, this like particular iteration of working with people in the hospitality industry has been so beautiful and so exciting, and getting to understand people's stories and their passion and their reason for being behind their hospitality businesses as well. And so I'm loving this little phase. My husband and I moved here back to Sydney for family, and it's been difficult and rewarding and important and fun.
Yeah, so good.
So that's my story. I don't know. That's not very linear. Yeah, I'm not a linear person.
I mean, I really don't think anybody is really linear.
Yeah.
There's people that choose a linear career path.
Totally.
And see a pathway and go, I want to go on that pathway. But I feel like most people are not linear naturally.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is really like beautiful about everybody that I've gotten to engage with, because I mean, like attracts like, right?
Totally.
So
that's why we're still friends, Nikki.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I tell my students my story all the time, and they're like, I tell them all the things I've done, and they get real confused.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
yeah.
It's all about helping people help people.
Yeah. So that's your like North Star. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like I want to be helping people help people. And so now I get to help my students prepare to go out into the world and help people, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of leveled up as I've gone. Like initially it was me helping people.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I can actually train other people with the skills that I have, and
totally.
They can be more effective in what they do.
Totally.
And then it was like, okay, so it's not just about the entrepreneurs anymore. It's like, how do we create a whole bunch of people to go out into the world and help?
Yeah, like a movement.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right
now.
Is how do we kind of bring all the people together that want to help people?
Yeah.
Then, if we focus the momentum.
Totally.
So,
it has its own, it's propelled by its own like momentum and its own force. Yeah, I mean, I remember after university, I remember waking up because I, of course, like Nikki, studied something that I do not work in.
I don't even remember what you studied.
I studied music.
Yeah, I mean, it's the creativity.
It's the creativity, so that's definitely still there. But I studied music, and I remember after my senior recital, I remember waking up one morning after having done all of my projects, sent in all of my essays, whatever, and waking up being like, okay, now what? And just like the panic setting in and being so aware that I had to make decisions about the rest of my life. Well, I thought it was the rest of my life. Like I was 20 at the time, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what I have to do.
And why did I study music?
And why did I study?
Seem to be
Exactly.
any point now.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really want to do that. Like, I mean, I did, but I didn't really feel like I wanted to pursue it. And so, again, like this BHAG, right? Of like, what am I doing? Like, what is my big, hairy, audacious goal? Like, do I have one? I don't know. But how was I going to find it? And yeah, I would just remember waking up being completely overwhelmed. And the next thing I did, the way to get myself out of that space of feeling stuck and overwhelmed, was I just had to choose the next best thing. I kind of tried to distill it between things that I did know and things that I didn't know. I did not want to be in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to travel. I had major travel bug. I had never seen myself in Australia long term, which is so funny. Yeah, even though I was born here, grew up here, that's like another side of my story, is like my family story and my family history, because that's kind of interesting too. But yeah, and then through some people that I knew, there was a job going with this not-for-profit in the US, and it was actually in music, and it was being the music director of this like traveling band. And I was like, okay, that sounds kind of weird and kind of fun. So like, that's cool. That's what I'll do. And so like, I was like very confident that the next thing would come to me and that I would know when it came to me. And I was like only 20 at the time. And it's kind of funny, like looking back and seeing my confidence that something would come.
Right.
But like, that's life, right? Like there's always something after the next.
Yeah.
After the thing that's now, you know?
Right. I feel like that's really interesting, because I kind of feel like I was confident in that as well.
Yeah.
If the decision that I made wasn't going to be the best decision,
Yeah.
I was confident that something else would come.
Totally.
Whereas I feel like our environment right now with like social media, we hear all the bad, because you know how, like, I mean, I know a lot of the social media and a lot of the algorithms know that it's our like fear and disgust or whatever that is going to get our attention to focus on social media. So we often see a lot of the bad.
Right.
Oh, the AI is going to take over all the jobs, and like all of these narratives. We didn't have those.
No, we didn't. And I also think that there was less space for innovation like 15 years ago, because people followed a more tried and true path.
Yeah.
It's like you go to university, you get a job, like this like life script thing. And that's never something that I was very interested in. And I don't think you were very interested.
Not surprised me at all.
And I genuinely don't think that you were very interested in this either.
I think I'd had 3 careers by the time
I think so too. Yeah, you did. And I think that looking at your life and understanding that you could be directed by like a concept of like being purposeful, of being, of just like wanting to leave the world better than the way that you found it.
Yeah.
I think that that's like definitely a concept that we were raised with. And, you know, I think that a lot of the people that we know are still living their lives like that, which is really amazing. And then like when it comes to things like social media that are like do tend to err on the side of being more negative, I think that, you know, we're able to like look at things and look at problems with like a solution mindset and like, what do I have to offer? Like, what's in my hand? Like, how can I lend my unique skills and passions and ideas towards this? So yeah, I think that I love what innovation gives us these days, and like the potential. The potential is really interesting.
Yeah, totally. And that confidence to kind of go and do stuff.
Yeah.
And realizing that, I think for me, there's stuff I'm able to do today that I never would have been able to do 20 years ago. But if I didn't do what I did 20 years ago, I wouldn't be able to do what I was doing today. Right. I mean,
so it's linear in a sense because you have to build on something.
Yeah.
But also like not everything makes sense in chronology.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like the butterfly effect. You can
Totally.
see the cause and effect relationships in retrospect, but you can't see
Yeah.
it when you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like the fun surprise, right, of life. It's like,
So-
oh my gosh, I didn't know that was like, how would you know that going to China would be useful when I needed a hotel in China?
Yeah, you're like, I don't know anybody. I just found, I think it was literally the night before you left. I think I ran into you. And you
Yeah.
were with your mom.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I have a 24-hour layover.
Yeah.
in
I can't stay in the
Shanghai.
airport.
Like, I can't just stay in the airport. And I was like, I know of a hotel that I know exists that I can book you into. And I think 100%, I don't think I'd booked it when you flew out. So you got the details when you landed.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
You went
It's something
straight there,
crazy
you
like
stayed
that.
overnight,
Yeah.
and then continued on to New York.
That's just like so interesting. Like, your experience is never wasted, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
whether it's like useful for you down the track or useful for somebody else down the track. Like, that's like, I think the most wonderful thing, and like such a gift that we can give one another.
Yeah. No, totally. And I think it is. It's the little things of going, I don't know why I'm experiencing this.
Yeah.
And maybe the reason I'm experiencing it is something completely different, but then what the experience that I've had can be useful to other people.
Absolutely.
And it required you to go, I need help.
Right.
I need help.
Well, I was very experienced in telling you that I needed help. I had
practice.
I had so much practice.
But I think it was also, you knew my story, you knew I'd been there.
Yeah.
So there's like this openness of sharing, so not doing everything in secret. Like, you knew I'd been to China.
Right.
And I think that is the beautiful thing about social media, is like, you know what people are doing.
Right.
But then you've got to take that next step of going, hey, I'm going to Shanghai and I've just realized I'm going to be stuck there for 36 hours. And I was like, oh, I know of a hotel.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's that willingness to be open to saying, I've done this thing.
Yeah.
And now I realize that I have this gap that I need to.
Exactly.
And being willing to go, I need, like, do you have any suggestions? And then I was like confident enough to go, I have very little knowledge, but the knowledge that I do have, I'm willing
is
to
yours.
share, right?
Totally.
I think that's the beauty of life. Like, there'll be times where I'm going somewhere and I've never been there, and I'll be like, does anyone know anything about this? Like,
yeah,
and then people
crowdsourcing. Yeah.
And I think there's a humility in being willing to go, I need some help here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or I need some advice here or whatever. And then also the confidence to know that the little bit of information that you have is probably going to be useful to that person.
Totally.
And then that create like that community and helping each other.
This like symbiosis. Yeah. I think about when someone moves to New York City and they've been there for a couple of years, the first time that some lost looking tourist asks you for directions, you're like, I made it. I have something that somebody else needs.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Canal Street's over there. But like this like sense that actually like people do want to help you. And I think of so many instances where being honest about a gap in like your knowledge or your experience, and then just asking and being so beautifully and pleasantly surprised at people's not only willingness, but also their generosity in sharing something.
Totally.
And I think that is like the most beautiful thing. And like, you know, you do see the best and the worst of that on social media. I was talking with a friend yesterday, and like some people in our worlds are like almost proud of being Luddites and proud of this like analog like mindset of like, yeah, like it's a necessary evil. But like, I'm one of those people, and I was talking to a friend yesterday who's also one of these people. Like, I love social media. Like,
yeah,
I love it. I think it's so fun and so weird. And like, sometimes I'm just on TikTok and I'm just laughing for half an hour because people are so funny. And like, they have no guile in like getting on the internet and just like presenting themselves as absolute fools for my pleasure. Like, I'm just like, this is amazing. And yeah, I just remember during COVID when social media is like all we had to connect with one another. And there are so many things about that time that was just, it was like a lifeline for so many of us, and loved it. Loved it. Didn't do a lot of work, even though I had to, but it was on TikTok a lot because it was just so funny and weird.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. There's positive and negative in everything, and you have to
totally
learn how to understand the difference between the two, and then take the win but know about the negative. Take the positive but know how to minimize the impact.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's so cool. All right. So if I was your 20-year-old self sitting here, any thoughts that come to mind that you would say to your 20-year-old self at this point in your life?
Oh,
she has no words.
I have no words. I know.
I just want to say this is a first.
Dumped. I just I don't know. It's hard for me to say that I have regrets because I'm so grateful for my life. All of the things that have happened have shaped me into who I am. I think I would encourage her to be more persistent about her curiosities and kind of follow the curiosities more. Yeah, I'm a pretty insatiable curiosity person, and so I think I've always been like that. I don't know. I also think I would encourage her to be a little more I don't know how much more vocal I could have been about things that I disagreed with, because I was very vocal, but I think that I relented at some point. I was just well, I'm going to say that I don't agree with these certain things. And this is more to do with the community that we were involved in at the time. Yeah, I think that I probably would have been a little bit more vocal about the things that I disagreed with within that community and within that context. And I mean, I'm not regretful of anything that I did or said during that time, but I think that I could have been a little bit more curious about some of the experiences of my friends and what was actually happening around me. I'm being so vague. I wish I could just be more blunt. I mean, you can cut that out, but I'm being vague for a reason. But
there's a grace in that vagueness.
Yeah, right? I don't want to be too, because again, it was a hard time, but there was also very good things about it, and some of my best and most long-standing relationships come from that time in my life. So I don't regret anything, but I think just to be more open, to be more curious, to be less concerned about the future, because tomorrow always comes. You always wake up in the morning and it's a new day.
Yeah.
And whatever you do with that new day, it's completely up to you.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. I think what's really awesome is that choice to go, tomorrow's going to come. I'm going to do the best with what's in my hand,
Totally.
Which is the whole concept of being responsible. We can't be held accountable for a capacity that we don't yet have.
Exactly.
All we can do is do our best with each moment, knowing that moment will build our ability to do even more best later.
Exactly.
And let go of the things that, regret of something that we didn't really have the capacity to do anyway.
Right.
Right? It's you can't expect a 20-year-old to be able to have the capacity to overcome a really difficult problem if they've had no experience. So it's just choosing to go I did the best that I could.
Absolutely. And I think exercising the muscle of, what's the opposite of self-betrayal? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's an opposite of self-betrayal, but I do think that intuition and a deep sense, I truly actually believe that people do have a an inner compass of what they actually want and what they actually believe about their lives, about their purpose, about what's really in their hearts to do, what's really in our hearts to do. And I really think that a lot of us are living lives that we don't consent to because we're practicing some deep form of self-betrayal and dishonesty at some level. And so I think being able to get clear about those things for ourselves is very crucial.
Yeah.
And I think that it will make decision making easier as well.
Totally.
Because if you don't know, like, know thyself, right? Like, it's a really important concept, and it's not just a trite saying, like, to really understand these things that drive you, your motivations, your passions, what gives you clarity, what gives you energy, like, all of those things are so imperative to having a life that, like, you consent to, but also something that you love,
Yeah. And I think I don't know whether you feel like you've done this your whole life, but I always admired that you always seem to operate from an internal locus of control.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Or just like deep principles.
Mm-hmm. Like you weren't very swayed you were definitely in a community of people and doing things, but you were never like swept up in the momentum of the group if you felt like it was going against something that you disagreed with or not where you personally wanted to go.
Yeah.
And you were very like, you had that ability to just kind of go with your own drum. That's it.
For better and for worse.
Yeah. Like, but the cool thing is like, that is great. And I think that's something that I've learned. It's like, I'm doing this and I'm going to make this decision. If I win, I win. If I lose. And I can't blame anyone else for it. It's like that radical accountability.
Exactly.
For your life.
Exactly. Radical accountability and autonomy as well. That, like, we have been given choice. Oh my gosh, we're about to get really Calvinistic around here. But like,
I agree.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And I don't know, like maybe everybody has these sliding doors moments of like, what if, are we living like concurrent realities where like the reality of choosing one thing versus another is like all being played out in the same thing. But like, I think ultimately, like there's so many things like we don't have control over, and there's so many things that we do have control over.
Yeah, totally.
And that's that. And like, my mom is somebody who, she's been living with a chronic disease for like most of my life. And like still, like even though there's a lot that's been chosen for her as a result of having this chronic disease, like I watch her continually exercise joy and autonomy in spite of the circumstances that she's been given. And like that just really inspires me to, keep choosing these things, to keep in control, because I have that. And like, that's a gift. Like nobody gets to take that away from me,
What are you hoping for the future?
What am I hoping for the future? Well, like I really love, like I've been on this like hospitality kick recently. I read Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara, and
I love that.
It's so good. It is so good. And it's not just like a case of like going to a restaurant and eating, but like what does hospitality as a concept mean in your life? And so, like one of the things I'm constantly thinking about, and one of my best friends is 75, and she still says this to me, like, what am I going to do when I grow up? What am I going to be when I grow up? And I love that she's 75 and still says this to me. Yeah. And so, yeah, like I want more opportunities for like deep hospitality. I want more opportunities for relating, for communicating, and for creating. And like whatever I'm doing in life, like that's what I want. That's what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love someone to build me a teleporter.
Oh my gosh, yes. That would make my life so much easier. I'm about to get
literally
for 24 hours and
Nikki.
I'm like, ugh.
It's just so, like this whole tri-continental existence is just so annoying. But, like more of that, like more doing the things that I love with the people that I love. I think that that's what the future looks like.
I've always said like it's more important who you be than what you do.
Ugh,
and I think that's kind of
a soundbite.
Right. It is like, I think we can get so fixated on the titles and the jobs and the external.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, your North Star is like community, creativity, and relationships.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing those things, you're doing what you're meant to be doing.
Exactly.
And that's about who you be, not what you do.
And what I do, like I could be doing anything. You could be doing anything. But like like, I don't know, in my 37 years of life, like life is a lot, you know, like life is a lot. And the people around you holding your hands, like that, they matter. They matter. And whose hand you're holding also matters. Like we're accountable to each other, we're accountable to ourselves, and we're accountable to your higher power. So yeah, what are you going to do with that?
Giselle, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I know I said that when we actually had this conversation, but I wanted to just say that again in closing today. And to everybody that was listening, I really hope that you were inspired by Giselle's story and you were encouraged in a way. And one of the things that kind of came to mind for me during this conversation is that often when I talk to my students, and I know some of you guys are listening, that we know what our values are. We know like that we value, people and humanity and justice and all that sort of thing. But we're a little bit unclear of how that's going to outwork. Like what's the actual like practical things that we're going to put our hand to. And so we feel like sometimes that we're not quite sure what our purpose is because we don't know how practically it's going to work. What I love about how Giselle talks about her purpose is that it's who she is. And then the things that happen as a result of that and whatever she puts her hand to is what's produced into the world. So maybe if we can think about our purpose in that way, we can be more comfortable with knowing what our purpose is and then just letting the practical outworking flow from that as opportunities come to us. So I hope that you enjoyed this conversation, and I look forward to seeing you next week.